My name is Lucy Wood and I'm the author of Diving Bells, which is a collection of short stories based on Cornish folklore. My short story collection is inspired by the idea of making Cornish folklore new and playing with it in new ways. I think that in many ways Cornish folklore has become a little bit of a cliche. It can be seen as twee. Many people tourists who visited Cornwall will be familiar with rows and shops of plastic piskies and tea towels with pictures of piskies on them, which are great in their own way. But I was interested in the deeper side of the folklore, perhaps the darker side of the folklore, and ways of playing with it to make it new. So, for example, in my story, Diving Bells, I've taken mermaid folklore and tried to pick out the darker side of this folklore. I see mermaid folklore as being about drownings, about loss and a real sense of tragedy. Slightly different to maybe the Little Mermaid side of mermaid mythology that people are used to. And I really wanted to draw this out and use it in my story. As a jumping off point, I looked at two 19th century collections of Cornish folklore called The Drolls, Traditions and Superstitions of Old Cornwall and The Traditions and Hearthside Stories of West Cornwall. And these were basically copies of original oral folk tales collected in a book. So I used those as jumping off points, found the elements that I most wanted to use and created stories from there. But as well as that, I travel around Cornwall quite a lot. I actually stumbled across a wishing tree by accident, walking down a lane that said it was heading to a holy well, and ended up seeing a wishing tree hanging over the water, all covered in ribbons and string and bits and pieces, which served as the inspiration for my story, The Wishing Tree. I think Notes from the House Spirits is one of my favourite stories in the collection. I really enjoyed writing it. I found that the pedantic, obsessive, kind of repetitive voice of the house spirits came quite naturally to me. Don't think that's necessarily a good thing, but